Who wants less fatigue? Anyone? In today's video, I'm going to share some new research and tips to help us better manage our fatigue. When we live with MS and chronic illness, fatigue can be one of our worst symptoms. It can affect every aspect of our lives. Every day, we can want to go to work or school or take care of our families or participate in fun activities, but fatigue can make us feel like we just can't muster the energy to do it. It can be very defeating and depressing. Can you relate? Let me know in the comments below. Hello, my dear friends, and welcome. I'm glad you're here. And if you're new to the channel, a special welcome to you. I'm excited to share what I've learned recently about how we can help better manage our fatigue. On my channel, I share my thoughts and information from research that I've read that may help us better manage our symptoms so we can live well with MS or chronic illnesses. There's a new area of science and research that I think is very cool called Chrononutrition. They're finding that what and when we eat can affect our circadian rhythm. Our circadian rhythm is a 24-hour cycle that's part of our body's internal clock. It regulates how our bodies function, and one of those ways is when we're alert or sleepy. Light and darkness are probably the best known influences on circadian rhythm, but there are other things that can affect it too, like food. We may not be able to eliminate fatigue because it's part of our condition, but we can make changes to our diets and lifestyles that may help us to better manage it and help us to sleep better so we can do the things that we want to do or need to do. Today, we're going to dive deep into how chrononutrition can help us reduce fatigue. Chrononutrition is the science of how food, metabolism, meal timing, and our body clock interact. There's still limited research in this field, but the early findings are showing that our bodies respond to food differently depending on the time of day it's consumed. Chrononutrition is an emerging field building on the relationship between temporal eating patterns, circadian rhythms, and metabolic health. And there's a growing body of evidence indicating that aligning food intake to periods of the day when circadian rhythms in metabolic processes are optimized for nutrition may be effective for improving metabolic health. Metabolic health is having ideal levels of blood sugar, triglycerides, high-density lipoprotein, HDL cholesterol, blood pressure, and waist circumference without the use of medications. When we have metabolic health, we feel our best and may have reduced fatigue. Chronic fatigue syndrome is related to metabolic syndrome. In a study done on both, they found that among persons with chronic fatigue syndrome, the number of metabolic syndrome factors was significantly correlated with worse fatigue on standardized summary measures of fatigue. So, back to what happens when we eat at times that are not optimized for nutrition. A study done on mice found that mice fed a high-fat diet during the day when they would normally sleep gained significantly more weight than mice fed the same high-fat diet during the night when they would normally be awake. Our bodies can respond differently to the same exact foods depending on when we eat them. In another study, scientists followed 420 people while they embarked on a 20-week weight loss plan. The researchers split the groups into those who ate their main meal earlier and those who ate it later. They found that those who ate their main meal earlier in the day lost more weight than the late eaters, even though both groups consumed similar amounts of energy. Our body's ability to control blood sugar varies across the day, and it seems to work better in the mornings. And similarly, our blood fat levels vary during the day too. Even though this research is still in its infancy, there are some general guidelines that may help improve our metabolic health. It's been suggested that we eat breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, and dinner like a pauper. In other words, eat our largest meal in the morning. Lunch should be lighter than breakfast, and dinner be the lightest meal of the day. I may have to rethink the hours I do my intermittent fasting. I typically eat from around noon to 8 p.m. Might try to shift it to earlier in the day. And before we continue, could I ask you to please like the video and subscribe? This is important because it will help the videos to reach more people. Thanks. So let's talk about food and how strategically timing different foods throughout the day may help. And caffeine is a stimulant in a way that we can get some quick energy and help us feel more alert. Many of us drink coffee or tea to get that boost, but we need to be careful when we consume it. It may take our bodies 3 to 7 hours to break down half of the caffeine we consume. This is called the half-life. So if we have a coffee at lunch at noon, we can still have half the caffeine in our systems at 7 p.m., and it takes even longer for the second half of the caffeine to dissipate. This may interfere with our circadian rhythm and our sleep, and getting good sleep is one of the best ways we can manage our fatigue. Try to limit caffeine to the mornings if possible. Eating a high-fiber breakfast can help us be more alert during the day, help with bowel movements, and sleep better at night. Some great sources of fiber are oats. Just be careful that they're organic and non-GMO oats. Veggies can boost our fiber too, or whole grain or sprouted grain breads. We really like Food for Life Ezekiel breads and English muffins. Eating protein is important to help us sleep too, because there's an amino acid in protein called tryptophan that gets converted to serotonin and then gets converted to melatonin, which is a hormone that helps us to sleep. Try to get some protein at each meal. Some great plant-based sources of tryptophan are soy, nuts and seeds, beans, dark leafy greens, mushrooms, and cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and cauliflower. Carbs can help too. Quick digesting carbs like rice and pasta can help us to absorb tryptophan quicker and therefore help us to feel more relaxed and sleepy. So adding some quick digesting carbs to our evening meal may help us sleep better. Fruits have more quick digesting carbs than vegetables, so an evening snack of fruit may help too. On the other hand, slow digesting carbs are better earlier in the day because we won't get that crash after a meal. The slow digesting carbs will release energy at a more steady rate. Some examples of slow digesting carbs are legumes like lentils and beans. Whole grains like barley and quinoa are also great slow digesting carbs, and many vegetables are slow digesting carbs too. Fats can also play a role in our circadian rhythms and how we sleep. Saturated fats like those found in meat and palm oil have been linked with inflammation, but omega-3 fats like those found in soybeans, flax seeds, hemp seeds, chia seeds, pumpkin seeds, and walnuts lower inflammation. The theory is with less inflammation, we sleep better and have less fatigue. Try to eat some omega-3s each day. I'm not really good at this one, so I supplement my omega-3s with algae oil, and I'll put a link in the description below if you'd like to check out the one that I take. Having a regular eating pattern and eating foods to support health can help synchronize our sleep-wake cycle and help us to have more steady energy throughout the day, thus helping reduce our fatigue. I like having tools in my toolbox to help me manage my MS symptoms. Knowing what to eat and when to eat may play a role in our fatigue levels, and it's another tool that we can use to live well with our MS. Do you like videos like this that dive into nutrition? Let me know in the comments below. To see more on managing fatigue, watch these videos next. Thanks so much for joining me today. Please like the video, subscribe, and subscribe to my newsletter using the link below. Until next time, be well.